Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zelda Cast here on ZeldaDungeon.net. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined, as always, by my pal and yours, Allison Aletha. What's up, Al? How you doing?
I'm all right. Like I was telling you before the show, I'm like 3 days away from painting the whole entirety of my house. So next weekend, you guys are going to have a different view of my room. I don't think we're going to be in the same spot. So we'll see what happens. And also the color of the wall will be different. So it's just, I talked about this with like everybody knows that I've been going to therapy and stuff, but I talked about this with my therapist and she was watching me spin out and she's like, it sounds like you're trying so hard for those 5 days to not have anxiety that you're giving yourself anxiety. And I'm like, you are right. So that's where I'm at right now.
Good
And
call out.
I'm just trying to be zen, trying not to have anxiety before the anxiety, and I'm ready to talk about Zelda.
Well, I look forward to seeing the finished results. I've been, this new room, the new paint job has been built up over the last month here. Al's kept on telling me about it, and now I have like I have anticipation to see what it's finished. Can you maybe like drop a hint, like what colors that we could be in
Oh,
store
yeah.
for?
Well, so first of all, the woman who lived here before me, her name was Susan, and she was a very colorful woman, and like every room is a different color. So this room is blue, the hallway is purple, the downstairs bathroom is neon green, the other room is dark blue, Shad's room is dark purple. Anyways, we're doing like a creamy white everywhere, but I'm gonna have accent walls. So like this wall back here behind me with the windows is gonna be like a sagey green.
Right.
So like I'm going for cottage, cozy. I mixed those words up and soft, warm. That's what I'm going for. So,
Okay. Um,
and just not a different color in every room.
we I think I speak for all of us in saying that we look forward to seeing the results, but you know what? Try not to stress about it. I know just saying don't stress about it is not very helpful, but
Painting is a lot of work.
it is a lot
So,
of work.
I'm gonna try my best.
I have to admit, I when we moved into our house, we thought about painting, and we made the
Hmm.
decision just to hire people because like there was like all these like big walls and like stairs. Like we painted
Yeah.
our own room, but like the like bulk of the house and like basement, we got professionals because like it was so much, and we just wanted it done quick.
Hmm.
So
I mean, fair enough. I think the reason I decided to do it myself is because I'm also doing the carpet and I'm gonna pay somebody to do that.
yeah,
And I feel like
yeah.
that's gonna take a lot of money, so I might as well do the painting myself.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
We had to replace the carpet when we moved in because it smelled like dog pee, and
Ugh,
yeah,
yeah.
we had to do that like literally right away. And I
Yeah.
think that's why our house sat on the market for as long as it did.
Oh,
But you
okay.
could rip it
Well.
out, and it's as good as new, or at least it was 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Looking a little worse for wear with our dog and cat on it. No peeing on it though, which is good.
That's good. That's
Yes.
very good.
Okay, Al. We have a lot to get into here today, so we best just jump right into business here. And before we get to the main event, which is our final review of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. And that doesn't mean that we're done talking about Age of Imprisonment, by the way. We are going to be taking some fan questions. I believe we actually have that slated for next week, that we're going to be doing fan questions. So lots of content left to discuss for Age of Imprisonment, but we're going to be talking about our final review. So we're going to go over the story today in full detail. We're going to talk about the ending couple of chapters here. So chapter 5 and chapter 6 of Age of Imprisonment. Um, Final impressions on the playable character roster, which we did spend a bunch of time about last week, discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of the roster, and just kind of put a bow on like the main campaign of Age of Imprisonment here. So we got that coming up, and right off the top here, I'm going to tell everybody, if the title didn't give it away, this is going to be a full spoilery episode. So full spoilers for the ending of the game, and we'll when we get there, we'll mention it so that you have an opportunity to go away, or to bookmark it, come back, skip over it, whatever it is that you want to do. But we are going to be talking about the ending of Age of Imprisonment today. But before we get there, we got a few things to go over here, Al, and we should start off with where we start off last week, which is when we recorded the show last week. At that time, there was a leak that had went out, and it was some bloke with a phone taking a video of himself, which I thought was crazy, and then a video of Zelda, and I think he got Link too, and another character which I'm not going to say, and those images were circulating around the internet like crazy. Now, we said, and I will commit to this as well for if there's any future leaks, we don't cover leaks. We will warn people about them. We'll warn them that they're out there, but like I just don't think it's like a good practice, and it's just kind of like not cool to cover something that's not presented in the way that the creators, I think, intended it to be covered. Although we did say that it was very likely that because of this leak, that Nintendo might just publish like either a trailer or a teaser or something, and literally happened the next day. So we got our first official images of Zelda and of Link in the Legend of Zelda movie, and I thought they looked great. I thought that like Link looked awesome. I thought Zelda looked awesome. So Link kind of has like a Twilight Princess kind of vibe about him. Zelda definitely leaning more towards the Breath of the Wild look. I thought Bo Bregson looked great. I thought Benjamin Evan Ainsworth looked great. Like I was really impressed by these 3 stills actually. And like I know it's only 3 stills, but hey, I think that they got at least a look down. So I came away like pretty optimistic with what we saw. I don't know if you would agree.
I do agree. I really like how like it looks like it's very in touch with like nature. Like there's a lot of scenery, and they're filming in New Zealand, right? Is that correct? Or is that what
so.
was on the leak?
I don't know if that's ever been like officially confirmed or not, but it does seem like they are potentially filming in New Zealand. I think it's generally accepted.
Okay. If that's the case, then I'm expecting the scenery to give me the same kind of feels as Lord of the Rings did. But I think, personally, I think Zelda looks phenomenal. I think she looks stunning. I think she embodies Zelda how I want her to be. And I know people were worried about like the hair colors when we saw the casting for these 2 characters, but they look blonde enough to me, like not super blonde, but like blonde enough. And yeah, and then Link has got this kind of like brooding face, and so I don't know what his characterization is going to be like. I don't know what his voice is going to be like, but I'm excited. I feel like this is a good way to like kind of get you, geared up and ready. And it's interesting that they're together. It makes me wonder what the story is going to be like. So, or is that just promotional? They just took the picture together, or is this actually like a still from a scene, or what's the setup here? But I have a lot of thoughts, but they're all positive ones.
Yeah, I don't have like a ton of deeper thoughts. I know a friend of ours was just like, why is Zelda wearing that Hot Topic shirt with like the little Triforces on it? And I didn't even notice. I thought that it looked really good.
What?
Yeah, so I thought that I came away really impressed. I think Link looks really great too. Like it's easy. I think Zelda looks phenomenal, but I think Link looks great. Definitely the Twilight Princess vibe. No hat, which I think is like totally fine. Like to be honest, like if he doesn't wear a hat, yeah, I'm sure at some point he'll probably have like a hat on for a second, but
Was it Miyamoto who was like, it's kind of hard to get that hat to look cool over the years?
Yeah.
So I had that feeling with the movie. I'm like, how are you going to get that to look cool in movie? So I'd be okay with no hat. Unless it maybe that if there's like one scene where he has a hat, cool. But I think I'd be okay without it.
I think so too. Like I don't know. The hat is great, and we won't lose the hat in the games, but for the movie, it's kind of like when you're watching the X-Men movie, and Wolverine makes the quip of like, what did you want? Yellow spandex and stripes? Like,
well, I mean, they kind of fix that. Have you watched the latest Deadpool movie? I don't think you care that much. Well, he does where he pulls the hat on for like a second, his like classic.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, why'd you save that all these years, So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like maybe they'll have it for like a quick second at the end or just like initially, but it won't be a whole movie thing.
Well, just my point being like, it didn't take away from the character of Wolverine that he wasn't like true to form or wearing a mask or anything like that. And like you've seen other characters like the Joker and Bane and the Dark Knight trilogy look very different. Scarecrow look very different from their comic book counterparts. So like I feel like this looks like pretty spot on actually, like considering that you probably do need to make some changes for a movie. So very cool. I kind of have it in my head now that the perfect time for the first trailer is going to be at the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I maybe not, like maybe that's not quite a crossover audience, since like this, like the Mario movie is definitely going to be geared towards kids, but I mean I kind of think like the Zelda movie is going to be like the in the vein of like a YA movie, like a Hunger Games or Divergent or something like that, which is fine, like totally fine. So I think that wouldn't be a bad place for a trailer if they're ready.
I I really never paid attention to like the release of trailers or teaser information, but I feel like lately it's been like so far away from, for example, like Mandalorian had a teaser like 8 months in advance of their movie. And then speaking of Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping just had their teaser release for a game that or a movie that's coming out a year from 11/20. So it just feels like so far out for me. I think I'd rather have something like, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 3 months. And then that way I feel like I don't have that long to wait.
Well, we'll see. Looking good so far though, which I think is cool. And again, I don't want to talk about leaks, but I will say there's a third character that was shown in these leaks. Not Ganondorf, so don't
Hmm.
know who that is. But I thought the third character also looked really great as well. So
Hmm.
I think like everything that we've seen so far has been pretty positive. So I'm feeling like pretty good about this. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's
I love
gonna
it.
kind of like we said a long time ago. Like I feel like if they could make kind of like something akin to a live action Princess Mononoke, it's gonna be a really good movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited. And I feel like the more I see and the more I hear about the movie, the more like the less I feel worried about it and the more I feel excited for it.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully not too long until some more news drops for this game. It won't be too long, Allison, until Metroid Prime 4. We are almost two
Wow.
weeks out. Can you believe that? Like
That's
to put it
insane.
into context for Zelda fans, like this game has been announced longer than Breath of the Wild was before like it was announced and then came out. Like
That's true because you guys got the news that they were like, we have to scratch this and start over, right? Is that
yeah,
was Metroid Prime 4?
how's Metroid Prime 4?
Um, yeah, and I've been on the show with you so long that it's just like that's something that you've always kind of had like in
Th-
the background talking about like
this
maybe
game
we'll
was
get
announced
Metroid Prime
before we
4
started
news.
this podcast.
Yeah, and so you would talk about that, and then it finally, you finally got the release date. I think you got the release date the same time we got the Age of Imprisonment release date. So I was like, this is a
Hmm.
wild day for Andy,
Yeah.
and now it's so close. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm personally looking forward to the DLC for Legends EA, which comes out the next week after Metroid Prime 4. So it's just a busy time for games, as we've been saying for the last 2 months.
It is a busy time indeed. So yeah, very very exciting. We have a lot going on over on the Omega Metroid podcast. So come and hang out with us as we kind of like uh land stick the landing to this legendary journey. Like the whole Omega Metroid podcast was built around this game basically, and now we are 2 weeks away from it being here. So we'll see if it can pull a Breath of the Wild and not only stick the landing but ascend to even higher heights than people might have imagined that it could have. Like I that's the only thing I can compare it to is like Breath of the Wild and just like what a mythical like build up that game had, this mystique around
Mhm.
it. And then for Breath of the Wild to come out and just like not only live up to those expectations but surpass them and be like one of the most legendary games ever. I don't know if Metroid Prime 4 can do that. Probably not based on what we've seen so far, but I don't know. I'm really excited. So lots of good stuff over on the Omega Metroid podcast. I have one last thing that I want to quickly talk about here. We do have a Zelda themed art charity raffle benefiting No Kid Hungry going on, and this is put on by a couple of Zelda Dungeon staff, and they are going to be essentially like auctioning off, I think, or raffling off a bunch of stuff that they have personally made for like a different art, stained glass, lots and lots of cool stuff here. So wanted to give a shout out to Katie, who is our social media manager, for kind of putting this together. Spawny, Miranda, and Heather have also donated a lot of their time and a lot of their art to this raffle as well. It's $5 to enter, and you can get in, and this is all going towards No Kid Hungry, who is the charity of choice for the Zelda Dungeon Marathon. And lots of cool stuff that you can win here. Like there's like a fairy in a bottle, like stained glass. This looks really really cool. Really like I love this pixel art of the pirates by from the Oracle games. That's amazing. Like really cool prints of like new wave bossa nova Lulu, the mountain minish, which I love. So that is absolutely fantastic. And of course, we can't leave out as well the choo choo sticker set with all of your different elemental
Oh.
choo choos. So
I want to let me hype up a couple of these items because I have some. So the Choo Choo stickers, got those. Those are in my sticker book. They're amazing. They're really good quality, and they just look really cool. Like the colors are really pop. Those are fun. And then also I've ordered the stained glass from Katie before. I have the fairy, not the one in the bottle, but the fairy,
yeah.
and I've got like a rupee and a Triforce, and I can't wait to finally get done with all the painting because they're gonna go up in my windows here behind me. So they're all really good artists and creators, and their products are awesome. So I can't hype them up enough. At like, yeah, definitely participate in the raffle. That's awesome.
You know what? I want to actually say one more thing, and then we're gonna get to Age of Imprisonment, I promise. But I read a post on Zelda Dungeon the other day, and this post made me emotional. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Since the day I joined Zelda Dungeon in late 2017, December 20, or excuse me, December
16.
2016,
Yeah.
um, there was a guy on the staff, Rod
Guy.
Lloyd, who eventually would become my writing partner for many years. We were a tag team, the editor in chief and managing editor of the site. I stepped away to do the Zelda Cast exclusively, and he's still the editor in chief. He actually has stepped in to be the editor in chief of Omega Metroid for like the last like month or so, leading up to Metroid Prime 4.
Nice.
So Rod is a guy that I love and respect. But since I joined, he has been managing this weekly segment on Zelda Dungeon called the Caption Contest. And I'm just gonna say, like, managing a weekly article or podcast or whatever is like very difficult. There's a lot that goes into it. This man has been doing it for 10 years. 10 years Rod has been doing this, and he made the post that he is stepping away, he is stepping down, which is funny because like we had talked about this like 5 years ago and then 3 years ago when I stepped down, and he was just like, I gotta pass off the caption contest to someone else. I don't have the time for it anymore. And I thought it would never happen. I thought it would never happen. I was just like, this is his baby. He loves it. He's gonna keep it up. And now it is official. He is stepping away. And I read this and I was like, wow, I almost like can't believe it. It was
The
a
end
very
of an
big
era.
shock. The end of an era. Yeah. So now our pals Kat Fadam and Julie Wilson are going to be taking over the caption contest. So it's not going away. And I mean, we know Kat. She's great. She's very funny as well. So I'm sure that she will be all over this. But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, wow. When I read that, I couldn't believe it. I did. I felt like just like a touch emotional reading that. It was wild.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is something where I've like Rod's been here as long as I've been here, if not a little bit longer, I think. And so he's still here. He's still doing stuff. It's just like sometimes you do kind of like start to do a lot of things at the website because it's so fun to do all these things, have your hands in so many pies and that kind of, but it does get a little bit overwhelming. So you have to pick and choose like which parts you might need to step away from. And it sounds like this was it for him, but it's going into good hands and I'm
Yeah.
excited for him. I'm excited that he's doing Metroid stuff too for your website. And yeah, I adore Rod. Rod's always such a good time and a good person to be around.
He's the Bret Hart of Zelda Dungeon, the excellence of execution. So goodbye and good luck to Rod in the caption contest
He'll
here.
still be here.
Yes. But it's always worrying when you hand off something like even like editor in
Yeah.
chief. Like I was worried like is Musical March of Madness gonna live? Is Fall Brawl gonna live? And there's a bunch of things that I've tried that and I've handed off to people that didn't live because it just if you're not doing it, it doesn't make it. So I'm confident that caption contest will be around for a long time. It's kind of a niche thing, but the people that like it really like it. So yeah, truly the end of an era. So shout out to Rod and all the best in your caption contest retirement here, buddy. Okay, Al, we've put it off long enough. We now have to talk about Age of Imprisonment, we left off last week, and we were discussing chapters 3 and 4, which were long Mama Jama chapters. By the way, it
They
has to
were.
be said.
They were definitely the longest.
I kind of was assigning chapters to play based on Age of Calamity, thinking that it was going to have 7 chapters and they'd all kind of be like the same length, just like Age of Calamity was, because there's a lot that's similar to Age of Calamity here. Not necessarily the case. Like chapter 5 is basically the last chapter of the game. There's one mission in chapter 6, and you don't even start it. You just kind
You
of
just
you,
do
you
it.
bleed into it from chapter 5.
Yes.
So I finished the game like pretty much immediately after last week. Maybe I even finished it before last week. I don't
You
remember.
finished it before, yes.
Okay, I finished it before. So I finished it, and I had a lot of thoughts about the game, the roster, the story, and I knew what I had to do this week, but I didn't want to do it because I hear people, like I read the comments, I hear the feedback, okay, and it's just like, man, this guy went into this game not wanting to like it. He went into it not really wanting to give it a chance. And I hear that, and I can understand why it might seem like that, but that's not the case actually. Like I did go into here like really wanting to enjoy Age of Imprisonment, and in some ways I did. Like in some ways I did enjoy Age of Imprisonment, but in a lot of other ways, to me, it did feel like a big miss, which I'm going to elaborate on in our kind of final review here. So I think that we should do this, maybe break it down via the gameplay, and then the story, and then revisit the roster, and then maybe what changes we could have made, and then I think we should score it.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
What do you think?
I think that sounds good. And for everybody listening, I say this is our spoiler wall, right?
That's right. That's right.
This is it.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the positives. Let's talk about the positives, because there are positives here. Okay, I think in terms of gameplay, this is probably the best Warriors game, and I think we said that last week too. But really want to kind of hammer that home, I guess, is like, and I'll preface here being like, so I came into this, I think I was very upfront, being like, you know what, I don't love Warriors gameplay. I don't like hate it either. It, to me, I could take it or leave it. Like, I'm not gonna go out of my way. Like, I would never play Dynasty Warriors, but if there was a Zelda Warriors game, or a Metroid Warriors game, or a Final Fantasy Warriors game, or whatever, I'd probably check it out, because I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah, why not? And so, like, the gameplay style is never gonna be my absolute favorite, but it's not gonna be enough that I'm just like, this is absolutely unplayable, right? Because there are some people at Zelda Dungeon that are just, they just won't pick up this game because they just don't like that style of gameplay, which is fine. Because obviously, if you don't like that style of gameplay, this game isn't going to work for you.
Right.
So I was pleasantly surprised to note that the gameplay was probably my favorite part of Age of Imprisonment. I think the gameplay, I mean, it's very similar to Age of Calamity, with the addition of the sync strikes. I think that was really fun and like a really good kind of addition here. I like that it did kind of feel like you were fighting as a team, like when you're like fighting monsters and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool, and like I thought that, again, like not all the sync strikes were created equally, but it was pretty cool to see like all those, like the creativity and finishing moves and stuff like that. So I thought that worked really well, and I mean, I really liked playing as Rauru. I think Rauru was probably the best addition to here. I think Minoru was really cool as well, and even like Zelda's new moves, I thought were pretty sweet as well. So definitely some positives there. I would say that the special moves that you get, they didn't feel quite as natural to me as the Sheikah moves that you had in Age of Calamity, but they were still pretty cool as well. I think so. Overall, like I think that I was like really impressed by the gameplay. It's fluid, it doesn't stutter, there's no slowdowns, performs really well, and I thought that I haven't tried like 2-player yet, but I'm sure that would be a lot of fun to do as well. So I think the gameplay is like, and maybe this sounds dumb, but like the gameplay is the strength of this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what more I can add from last week. I think, because I agree with you, it's definitely like it's evolved in ways where like you can really build upon it. You can really build up your weapon, your character. I love the incorporation of the Zonai devices. At first, I think 2 weeks ago, I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to use the Zonai devices. But then, like, once I really kind of figured out what they do and what they're for, they're really awesome. And they really help you take down, like, some of those big
Yeah.
bosses. I think one of my favorite things is to make like a fire tornado where you use the fire spitter and then like the fan and you make a fire tornado and it brings everything in. I think any elemental tornado does that, but my favorite was the fire. And so I think the Zonai devices are actually really cool. I think, yeah, some characters definitely are a little bit more unique than other characters, like we talked about last week, where you kind of have similar weapons, races, and elements, so they do like similar things. So it's kind of hard to get away from that. But then you've got
Hmm.
Minoru, who definitely is like one of a kind character. I wouldn't say she's my favorite to play as, but her movesets are like definitely one of a kind, new. Um, I'm curious like what your top five players are because I definitely have a top five.
Oh, I would say Minoru, not Minoru. I would say Raru. Um, I don't know. Raru
It's really hard. Robert is
probably.
definitely number one.
He's definitely number one. I mean, the mysterious construct is in there. You know, the night construct
So
is in there.
I definitely have a top five like that I would gravitate towards, and it's Raru, Zelda, Night Construct, Rafika, and Kia. I feel like all of those are like my strong contenders where I really like their move sets. I really like how they
Hmm.
operate and move in the levels. And I just recently actually started playing a little bit more as Agustin because there's some like stuff in the map after you're done where you're trying to do
Hmm.
like stuff with certain characters. And I actually kind of like some of Agustin's moves, but not my favorite. So like, yeah, those were in my top five that I would always gravitate towards. And I'm trying in the end game to branch out a little bit. It's really difficult.
See, for me, like I make a point to switch my characters every
Agustin.
single mission.
Yeah.
So I like it's harder for me to answer because like I do play as all of them. I like let me correct myself. I play as like all the ones that are like kind of relevant to the story. So basically, I'm cycling between like Night Construct, Calamo, the Four Sages, and Minoru, Zelda, and Raru, and like that. That's kind of why I'm so up in arms about like the roster being so
Hmm.
week is because like I feel like I'm playing as the same characters like over and over and over again, and for me I feel like I need a little bit of variety in a Warriors game to really maximize it. So to answer your question, I guess I'd say like Raru, Night Construct, Artie, Kia, and probably Calamo is my
Hmm.
top five.
Calamo's fun too.
um
Um,
but I like I
Let me
do them
correct
all.
myself. I think I said Agustin. Agustin.
Agriston.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We forgive you, Al. Um, yeah, so I mean the gameplay is really fun, and I would say too because again let's keep it on the positives here for the first little bit. Um, I thought that the final I thought chapter 5 was a strong chapter, probably one of the strongest in the game. I don't know if it was like quite exactly everything I was looking for out of Age of Imprisonment and specifically about the imprisoning war, but I do think that that was a strong chapter, and I thought that the ending boss fight with well again both like Ganondorf and the Forbidden Construct was really well done. So
Hmm.
I thought that it ended well, and I will say this actually, now that I am in the post game and I'm just like cleaning up the map, I actually think that it's better than during the game when the actual story's going on because now it's just like, okay, I know what this is. I know like
Uh-huh.
what I'm getting. That there's no more like hopes or expectations that can be
Yeah.
dashed. Like at least you know what I'd like. Okay, I'll fight this level 80 vicious monster. Like whatever. Um. So like
I find that so funny because I felt the exact same way. I was like, Endgame, you know what? Like completing this map is kind of fun when I don't have the stakes anymore.
yeah, yeah. I
Like,
mean like it's just like that. It's like the dopamine hit of like getting another like flashing thing off of your map. You know what? And like that's
yes.
kind of like a small little thing, but it is fun to like kind of do that. So I
I mean, like if you sorry, but like if you're like thinking about the story and you're like, I'm just trying to get the story, but you can't continue the story without leveling up your people. And
yeah.
as you level them up, more stuff comes up on the map, and you're like, I'm just trying to continue the story. But now that you're done with the story and you could just get to the map, I find that part so fun. Like I'm having a blast in the end game.
I can't say that I think I'm having a blast, but like it's more fun. I think
Yeah.
just to hammer off a couple of like people's flashing icons there to get them off my
Hmm.
map. Um, so like I think that has been strong as well, and yeah, like I think the gameplay is something that they can really build off of for future installments of this subseries, which I think that there should be future installments of this subseries, but I do have some nitpicks as well, and I feel like we should get into that. And maybe actually we should reverse here. Do you actually just want to talk about the chapter missions here really quickly before we get to the end?
Um, yeah, I think so. I know you said you felt like it was the strongest. I feel like maybe 3 and 4 are the strongest, but
Okay.
because I felt like 5, and I don't know if it was just how I was playing it, but it felt so rushed,
It did,
and
didn't
maybe that's
it?
how I feel about the entire game in the end when we get to that point. Is just like everything feels really rushed and choppy and not
The
really cohesive,
the
even though it
pacing for this
is.
game is all over the place.
Yeah. Um. So while good, like I thought these levels were really good, and I thought like the cutscenes that we were getting, the story that we're getting were really cool. Like
Yeah.
the coming in on the storm arc was sick. I was
Hmm.
like, this is such cool like war visuals. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then of course like the final confrontations. Um, Absolutely loved both of those because you get kind of like coinciding at the same time.
Yeah.
Thought they were awesome. But again, it was just like it was so fast and so
I
I don't
agree.
know. It just kind of like it was hard to be like really into it because I'm like, this is just happening so quickly.
Yeah, and I will be honest. Maybe I'm trying to be charitable by saying that the last chapter was the best one here. But I think it was as good as the other chapters there.
Hmm.
I would definitely agree with that though. Like this felt like truncated down into like it
Yes.
felt like the game took forever to get going, and then everything that you know from Tears of the Kingdom happened really quickly with the Sonya scene, and then it took forever for anything to happen. You're recruiting all of the sages, and then like finally they all get stones, and then you're in the end of the game, and it's just like
Hmm.
holy moly. But yeah, I mean like you're on the storm. What's this called? The Stormwind Arc.
I
Someone's
can never
gonna
remember either.
me
I think they
neither.
called it the storm arc. Who knows?
The storm arc.
We all
I'm so
we all know
sorry.
what we're talking about.
Yeah, so you're on the ship
It's like,
and
what
you're.
kind of Zelda podcast is this? They can't
I know.
remember the names of anything.
Well, there's a lot of new names in this game. Okay, give us a break. Um, so you're on the ship, and I thought that this was a pretty cool level. Like you're getting over Hyrule Castle, and you're getting ready for the siege on Hyrule Castle, and you do get an opportunity to fight another Gleeok in the air, which I thought
Hmm.
was fun.
King
Although
Leok.
I do have to say, like I was disappointed that you didn't get to fight a Gleeok like face to face in this game,
Oh, like on
like
the
on the
ground.
ground. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
like I felt like that was
I
like a
understand why
huge
they
missed
did it this way.
opportunity.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, me too, but like, why can't you do both? I don't
Hmm.
know. Um, anyway, so you fight a Gleeok, who I will also say do not feel as menacing in this game as they do in Tears of the Kingdom. In Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like they are like these indomitable creatures, where here I
Hmm.
feel like they were relatively easy to dispatch. But nevertheless, I thought that was like a cool level. I enjoyed the Star Fox levels in Age of Imprisonment. I thought that they were
Yeah.
fun. Maybe that's the next game they should make. It's just like a full-on Star Fox game, because I think they could actually do a pretty good job.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so you get to Hyrule Castle. You're fighting like a gajillion monsters and all that kind of stuff. And then of course you trap the Demon King in the depths, who just foolishly rushes into this trap and gets himself sealed by Raru's hand. And
Hmm.
maybe it was because we had seen this in Tears of the Kingdom already, but I gotta say this moment didn't like quite hit for me as much as maybe it could have. And again, I don't know if it's because we already saw it or if it's just because like I don't know. It's just like well, Raru. I don't maybe like why didn't you do this earlier, dude? Like if you knew you could have beat him, I don't know. But
Hmm.
nevertheless, we kind of get the scene that we know about, and then you at the same time you have Calamo and the Night Construct fighting the Forbidden Construct as well, which is kind of like a nice little intercut shot there. And the Forbidden Construct is actually the final boss of the game. It's not even Ganondorf,
Hmm.
so that was curious. I thought, but I will say I found the Ganondorf fight just kind of a little bit lacking actually. Like I was
You
a little
felt
bit
that way
wanting.
with Tears too.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think the Tears Ganondorf fight is definitely better. Um, but I like was getting like especially with um like
Let me
some of
just
the
say too,
music and
it
stuff
wasn't
was
a
a
bad
lot
fight.
better
It
in
wasn't a
Tears.
bad fight, but I felt like
Right.
I remember Age of Calamity's ending, and I felt like that was a really cool fight, and this one, I don't know. I guess I
Mhm.
wasn't like as high on.
Um, I want to say like Tears Ganondorf is a lot better, but I did really like fighting this Ganondorf version because you have like four characters that you could switch between, and your characters will do this thing where the artificial intelligence like kind of instinctually knows that another character could hit harder in this moment, and so you can instantly switch over to them, and I thought that was so fun. And then of course this Ganondorf starts doing the flurry rushes just like he does in Tears.
Yeah, that
And
was
so
cool.
he flurry rushed me and I flurry rushed him and I was like, "Oh, I got him. I got this guy." It was so I had a fun time with it. Of course you don't win even though you win. But I can understand what you mean. Like we have seen the Age of Imprisonment scene 5 times in Tears. And then this is technically Minoru's version where you see Rauru sealing Ganondorf. And so it is something that we've already seen before, and so I can understand it not hitting as hard. But I still got goosebumps when Raru's like, remember this name, Link, like he's
Hmm.
coming for you, you know. So
Yep.
I still got a little bit of goosebumps from that. But what I really think added to it, that I wouldn't say improved it, but like made it good for Age of Imprisonment, is that it was going in tandem with what the Night Construct was doing. So Rauru and Night Construct were both making a sacrifice at the same exact time, and they switched between the two. And so I think that enhanced the scene well enough for Age of Imprisonment.
Yeah. Certainly not like a bad scene. It was just it was missing. I don't know, maybe a little something for me. And you're probably right, probably because we've seen it like multiple times there. But
Hmm.
and I guess like that's the downfall too, which we'll talk about, is like being a canon story, like you are bound to exactly what you already know. So like you can't
Hmm.
really do anything else, which I think is both the strength and weakness of this game's story. But I did think that the Night Construct scene was cool with the Forbidden Construct. I thought that showdown was really nice. I think well, what is your opinion of the Forbidden Construct as a villain, as a counterpart to the Night Construct? What do you think about the Forbidden Construct?
Um, I it's a little odd because really what it is Ganondorf like puts his power into it, his gloom, right? And then he's like, just let it do whatever it wants. And so that he doesn't have any agency over it. It just like its sole drive is to chase the night construct basically. And so that's kind of like the conclusion is it finds the night construct again, and the night construct is like, we got to end this. And so and Calamo is like, he finds his courage and he's like, you know what, I'm done being scared of this thing, let's do this. And so that's how the culmination is. But like it's just kind of weird when you have something that doesn't really have like a drive from what you're supposed, like who your villain's supposed to be, which is Ganondorf. He's just like, I know this thing potentially killed all the made the Zonai go extinct, and I'm just gonna let it wreak havoc. Go,
Hmm.
be on your way. And that's just what it is. And it just kind of feels, I don't know, just kind of you know.
It feels like it was there for the sole purpose of giving the Night Construct a foil, and to not have the Night Construct down in the depths
Yeah.
with everyone else, which like
Hmm.
isn't the worst. It's not the worst, but I
Hmm.
was kind of the same as you, where I was like, I thought that the Forbidden Construct kind of had the potential to be kind of cool, but I felt like they didn't go all the way with this thing. I would have had this be like the Calamity Ganon that you fight in Breath of the Wild, but that was never probably on the table because I don't think
Hmm.
Breath of the Wild exists in the Tears of the Kingdom timeline. So like,
Well, it's completely different material.
I mean I
Like,
know, but I think you could have.
yeah.
I think you could have found a way, I guess. But like, regardless,
Okay.
I mean, like, but you could have. I don't know. So I thought that it was fine. I thought that the final battle was fine, but I was a little bit surprised. I thought there would be something after that for sure. And even though like
Hmm.
Ganondorf was already sealed, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I thought there would be something, and that was kind of it.
I was expecting, and I think I talked about this in previous episodes. My ideal ending for this game was Zelda turning into the dragon. So I
Hmm.
was expecting something that we talked about last week is how Zelda just doesn't feel like a main character in this game, and I agree. I think the main character is Rauru. Um, because like it really more was about his sacrifice than her sacrifice, and I think it should like, which I guess I kind of understand because it is the age of imprisonment. It is his war, you know. Zelda's war, it comes after. Her war is with the future
Hmm.
Ganondorf, right? So, but I just kind of expected it to end with her like showing the steps that she takes, her and Minoru setting things up, setting up the shrine, setting up the Purapad to be found by Link in the construct, setting up the actual the old Hyrule Castle floating up to the sky because that's what happens. And I just was expecting to see more of that setup
Yeah.
that was Zelda's grand plan that we know about from Tears. You just don't see her planning any of this. You don't see you just see her as a sporting cast to Rauru, and that's kind of it. And I feel like that's fair up to a point. Like chapter 6 should have been Zelda's chapter.
I even think that like even Raru to me doesn't feel necessarily like he feels like a main character, but maybe not the main character. You know, he feels like Aragorn in the story, and Frodo is I'm not sure. Maybe the Night Construct, like because it feels like as much a story. Like the ending clearly focuses around the Night Construct and Calamo,
Hmm.
um, and so yeah. Let's just transition to the story talk here. We'll talk about the good and the bad. So first and foremost, the good is I do think that I thought Calamo was kind of annoying when I first heard him, and I will say this guy won me over, and you can kind of buy into the relationship between Calamo and the Night Construct. I thought that was as good a relationship as any as you will
Hmm.
find in this game. So I thought that that was good, and then I thought that the ending too, when the Night Construct kind of gives everything he has in order to defeat the Forbidden Construct. I thought that was nice, and when Calamo's just like I'm putting my roots right here where the Night Construct laid down his construct life. I thought that was a nice moment. Um,
Hmm.
I will say like it does. Well, you know what? Let's come back to this actually because I want to talk about this a little bit later on. But I do have a few things that I might have changed about that. But I will say that it feels like a well earned moment for this game, and we did get. I mean, they didn't come outright and say it, but I think everybody can clearly put the dots together that Calamo does indeed become the Great Deku Tree
I think
towards the
so.
end of the game,
I
which is
know
cool.
there were people like theorizing other things, and which I could understand, but I just, if we're talking about this later, I can stop. But like just by the placement and like what
You know what?
everything
Whatever.
that
Let's talk
happened in
about
the
it now.
game. Okay, the placement in the end credit scene that you get of Calamo is like very near Death Mountain, and you can
Hmm.
see like the hills of Kakariko in the distance. You can see Lanayru Mountain in the distance. I do not think it's the ancient tree stump that people were theorizing. I think because people were saying the ancient tree stump because there's a spear there, a Gerudo spear, which is what Calamo used to like hold himself up to become a tree. I just think that's another Korok that became a tree. And so maybe they were following in Calamo's footsteps. Maybe Calamo's following in their footsteps. But his placement looks very much like where Great Hyrule Forest is, if that's the right name for it.
Hmm.
And we know that it burned down, so he could just be the new forest. He could be the new Great Deku Tree. So I think that's true. I think that is the case. It kind of irked me that they didn't confirm anything.
I would
It was just
agree.
really
I would agree.
ambiguous.
And that's what I
I
was
was just
gonna
like,
say,
come on.
actually. Like, it kind of irked me that they really didn't get. Like, this game does a weird thing with its story where it feels like they're trying not to, like, spoil Tears of the Kingdom in any way, or they're trying to leave everything, like, really ambiguous. And it's just like, what's wrong with just, like, saying this is the Great Deku Tree? Like, yes, you could obviously infer it, but I don't know. I feel like I think it makes Calamo mean a lot more when you can definitively say that's the origin of the Great Deku Tree is that in the word.
And
And
I mean, yes, and I 100% agree with you, but then I just thought too that there's this moment where Lenalia and others, Minoru, are like, we can't remember the construct and Calamo, which
that's
is
exactly where I'm going next.
okay, yeah.
So there was a really cool line in here where they kind of infer that the Night Construct is the ancient hero that you see in all the tapestries and stuff like that. Like, am I right? Like that was my inference that they kind of
Mm,
inferred that.
no, because that again, that stuff happens after the fact. That's a different. No, it's not him.
Well, clearly it's not him because they're just like, actually, we can't talk about this guy at all, ever.
Yeah.
Nor
So that
Calamo.
that instance in history is way after
I guess, yeah, I
the
guess that's when
Imprisoned War.
the divine beasts and stuff are there, yeah.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I was just like, I kind of felt like it felt like it made sense because you never hear about the Night Construct nor Calamo. But I guess I was just kind of like, I don't know. That feels a little bit cheap to me. Just like the reasoning for it, I thought was ridiculous. Like we can't have anybody else go after these other constructs, so let's just pretend that they don't exist and never tell anybody about this great hero that we had. And it's like, why don't you go in with your light powers and make all of them into great heroes like right now? What's wrong with that?
Well, I think aren't they all missing at this point? I can't remember.
I don't
But
know.
so when I got that explanation, I was like, "Here you go, Andy Spiteri. Here's your one thing to explain it all away." And that's what they did.
And you know, I
They
can't
gave
fault
you
them.
a
Like it,
like they give you a single scene to explain it all away, to make
yeah,
it canon, to make it okay, and that's what they did. And I'm
that's
like,
what they
that's what
did.
he's been asking for weeks. So
And I'm not gonna fault it. I thought it was lame. Like,
you're like, explain it all away, but do it in a cool way, man. Like,
but I mean, actually, like, I don't think that's asking too much. Like, it wasn't the worst, but like, I thought that the reasoning behind why they couldn't put this dude in the history books, I was just like, I don't know. That's kind of weak sauce. Or just like say in the history books, he was a guy. He wasn't a construct. Like, I don't know, but and I guess like it doesn't really change anything in the grand scheme of things. But we should also point out, by the way, when we're reviewing the story, I'll speak for myself. I have not gotten any of the optional conversations
me
that you
neither.
can get. Something tells me that they are not pertinent to the story, but if I am mistaken, please let me know. Something tells me that they're basically just like memories, but
I looked it up just so I was sure that I wasn't going to need it for the podcast. It's literally just text conversations.
Okay.
I don't think it's cutscenes or anything, but yeah, because I was like, is this going to be something we're going to have to do? Like, are we going to do a post game thing? I think they're just text conversations to kind of add a little bit of character to these characters.
okay, then there we go. So yeah, I thought that for my complaint about them erasing Night Construct and Calamo from the history books, I thought that was actually like probably the best part of the story of Age of Imprisonment for me, is like, because at least these characters kind of felt like they got some development. Calamo got a lot of development. I mean, the Night Construct kind of is what it is, but that felt like a fully fleshed out story to me. I don't know that I would say the same about the other side with Zelda and Rauru and Ganondorf. I said this to Al before we started recording. To me, so there's nothing wrong with the story of Age of Imprisonment. I want to make that clear. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but this is the definition of this meeting could have been an email. Like I don't know. Like I'm looking at the story here, and if you took out the mysterious construct in Calamo, I guess like my question is like, does this game's story add anything to what Tears of the Kingdom already told us? I'm not sure it does. And maybe some will disagree with that, which is totally fine. Like obviously you get to learn a little bit more about the sages, which I think is a net positive. But like
That's where I was gonna go.
that
Yeah.
feels thin to me. And you could argue that maybe that's your tipping point, and you'd be right. But to me, that just didn't feel like it was that big of a selling point, because they still feel really thin. They kind of feel like the champions, where like they've got one trait about them each, and that's their trait. None of them really go through an arc. None of them really go through any development. I thought that Zelda. I thought that the Zelda and Sonya scenes were like, I don't know. I thought that Sonya desperately needed some more character development in this game. Maybe you could argue maybe she gets sort of that with like a few more scenes, but I was still left just a little bit wanting with Sonya. I would have liked to see her and Zelda together like a little bit more before that scene happens, to really kind of drive home that scene. Rauru just completely no sells that either for most of the game. He's just like, oh, Sonya's dead. Better get my troops out of here. Which, like, I get, he's in the middle of a war, but they don't really revisit. I think there's one scene where they kind of revisit it. But I don't know. What do you think, Al? I'm kind of rambling here about the story of Age of Imprisonment.
I think oh, it's like I feel in this weird in between place where I got everything I wanted. I said that I wanted more details from that time, while keeping it canon. And if they were going to do anything crazy, keep it separate, which is exactly what they gave us. They gave us the story. They added a little bit more detail. They did something crazy with the night construct, but kept it separate. And I'm like, cool. That's like, I feel satisfied with that. But then like on the other side, this is why I'm kind of split. I'm like, they didn't give us a lot though. Like,
No.
I will disagree with you on the sages. I don't think that they're one personality trait. I do think they get a little mini arc. I explained that last week, and I said it was okay if you felt different and if anybody else feels different. So that's why I feel like chapters 3 and 4 are the strongest for me, because that's when you're recruiting the sages, getting ready for war, dealing with the after effects of the demon king Ganondorf taking over, and it felt like a very good war arc to me. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're fighting back and it's happening so quickly. And so that's why I feel like 3 and 4 are the strongest for me. And you get to know those sages, and that's where I felt like the bulk of all the information I wanted was. But because it's also coinciding with stuff we've already seen, it just felt like they were like, they've already seen this, we got to rush some of this stuff. And I was just like, no, the stuff that I wanted, like, rush the stuff we've already seen. Give me more of the stuff that I wanted, the more. And I just think it's a little bit unfortunate because it was just so choppy. And, like, I really enjoyed it overall, and it gave me what I wanted, but it was also kind of not, I don't know, it could have been better.
Yeah, I feel like for me, like again, like you're right, like it kind of gives you what you want. Like there was nothing not canonical here, like so that's kind of cool, but it also, it just wasn't that interesting. I felt like for me, like it was kind of like rally the troops, give a couple speeches, here's some scenes that you saw in Tears of the Kingdom, and
which, by the way, the speech not as good as Zelda's in Age of Calamity.
No. I thought that whole like last speech with like Robert rallying the troops, you're almost waiting for the applause to kick in, and the way that the sound engineering was, it's like one person was like yeah, and then like 3 other people kind of joined in, and then it was like now you've got like a big crowd cheering. But the way that they did it, it was like there was like only a handful of people cheering at first. It's kind of gave me the impression like everyone else is like looking around like, are we going with this guy, like
yeah,
which I thought was funny. But yeah, I feel like it didn't offer anything that I was really curious about in Tears of the Kingdom.
To be fair, there was some information about like the Zonai's destruction. I really wanted them to dig deeper into that.
You know what? Yes, there was, but I'm gonna say this. So that was one of the things that I wanted to learn about. But
yes, same.
So you go from, you're finding all of these construct like pods, let's just call them, and then Minoru goes straight from like theorizing about like, I wonder if this is what caused the Zonai's destruction, and you're like, okay, and then you just like fast forward a little bit and it's like, these things definitely caused the Zonai's destruction. It's like, okay, and then Minoru's just like, oh, I did some research and confirmed it, and it's just like, well, let's hear about it. Let's like what actually happened. Like you are told like these things are bad, they cause the Zonai's destruction, and that's it. And it's just it's a very lackadaisical explanation. I felt like.
You know what? I just had this weird like analogy pop into my head where Tears is like Nintendo is like whittling like something, and they kind of just barely start scraping off like the bark, and you're just like, okay, but can you go a little more, go a little deeper? And so they're like, okay, here you go, and they give us Age of Imprisonment, and they just do another little thin layer of the bark.
A little,
and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm like, come on, get in there, make me like an arrowhead or something.
I will say too, and Allison is gonna roll her eyes at this, but I don't care. I really wanted some dragon lore. I thought that'd be really cool to like see where the 3 dragons came from. Lore.
I wanted that too.
Okay.
I just didn't want it the way you wanted it.
Well, I mean, like, I wanted some of it at all in any capacity,
yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, you don't get that. The 3 dragons are completely missing from this game, so they clearly come after, I guess.
Yeah.
No, well, actually, who knows? I mean, who knows? Like,
they're before, because how do we know about your codification? Anyways.
Well, because like they tell you in the opening prologue, like this is a forbidden act, so it doesn't have to be
Right,
just
because
those
somebody did
three.
it before.
Well, it doesn't have to be just those three. Anyways, it doesn't matter because you don't learn anything. Like it would have been cool
Right, you don't.
to learn
Nothing's
something about
confirmed.
it. And I don't know. I thought that would be kind of like a big part of the game. And to your point earlier, I thought like one of the only time that you see a dragon in this game is when you see the light dragon at the end, and it kind of like is a wink and a nod to what Zelda has done. And I was just
Right.
like, oh my god, like
Yeah, you don't even get to see her become one, which probably that scene wouldn't have hit as hard as the first time. But I just like I wanted to see her planning. I wanted to see her getting ready to face Ganondorf in the future. And you just don't see any of that. The only nod towards it is Linalia's like, "So you really gonna go through with it?" And Zelda's like, "Yes." And like that's it. And
which you know
speaking of
what?
Linalia, I was so disappointed that she didn't get any more characterization or nothing. She wasn't even playable. She was barely there.
She was barely there. She got done dirty
I
in
was
that
so
game.
disappointed, man.
Linalia was a nothing character in the end. Very like
Yep.
paper thin. I would say Sonya didn't come away any better in this game than before.
So neither, and like Ganondorf too. And I
And
mean,
Ganondorf,
I
yeah,
really wanted to know more about him. And like, you get a picture of him on the sea as Chief in Gerudo, like, but you don't get to see. So they talked to Artie about how she was supposed to be Chief, if not for Ganondorf. I want to see that conflict. I want to see like,
yeah.
w-
Well, that's what I mean.
why
How you
was
don't really get to know the sages. Like you don't hear
yeah.
anything from her like at all.
Yeah. It was just so I was just like, man, I really want him to just like have a little depth that isn't just like I'm just pure evil and I'm gonna rule the world and I'm
He
gonna
was
kill
rough
this lady
in
and
this
take her
game.
secret
Yeah.
stone. And I think this is like the coolest design for Ganondorf. The Demon King Ganondorf, so cool. The Dragon Ganondorf, so cool. Like the coolest design for Ganondorf ever. But like he's still just the bad guy. And
He was as one dimensional a bad guy as you could possibly be.
I just want to understand his motivations. I just want to get it. And oh, I did have a thought because you had asked the question, like, why is he so powerful? It's because he's sending hordes of monsters to weaken everybody around him. Like, everybody's using their secret stones with these hordes of monsters. They're tuckered out by the time they face him, and that's why he beats them.
Why
Aside from
why
being
can he
sealed.
raise these armies of demons, but like
Because
Rauru
that's his
can't
power.
raise like
That's
an
just what
army
he,
of light people? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like that's a
yeah.
perfectly fine explanation. But yeah, I was really disappointed in Ganondorf portrayal in this game. To touch on your point about Zelda, like at least I can get that. Like in chapter 6, if Zelda is setting up her plan, like that doesn't necessarily like coincide with like Warriors gameplay or doesn't mesh well towards it because like you'd want to be fighting monsters, but like at least like in the cutscene, like the ending cutscene, I thought that there could have been something. I get like there was nothing wrong with the story of Tears of the Kingdom, but like I felt like I didn't come out of it learning any more about Rauru, didn't come out learning any more about Ganondorf, didn't come out learning any more about like the Zonai really, except for probably maybe how they got destroyed by these like MacGuffins that are now lost in time because we can't
They
talk about
kind of
them.
like, it's kind of like Horizon where they created the monsters that killed them, right? The robots. They
Yeah,
created these constructs, and because they can be corrupted by bad energy, that's what destroyed them. It's just like their own ego killed them.
yeah, which is like a fine story, but
Yeah, but dig
I,
a little deeper.
it's
Just like
kind of
tell me
like
how, why, who.
well, even it's kind of like show don't tell. Like what I don't know. I don't know how they would have done it, but like maybe there could have been like a cutscene or I don't know something. But like I guess like my point, like there's nothing wrong with this story, but like there's nothing really that deep about it either. There's nothing really that
Yeah,
great about it, and I can already hear people being like, "Oh, well, Zelda's always focused on gameplay over story. What do you expect?" I expect a good story in my Zelda game that I'm paying $100 for, okay, and good gameplay. I expect both. I want both.
hmm
And again, for a guy like me that could kind of take or leave this style of gameplay, the story is what I was really drawn in for. And I would say that the story did not live up to my hopes and expectations. This is going to be different for everybody. Um, but yeah, I thought that the story was just kind of like, it was kind of like a big nothing burger to me. Like, it could have been an email, I don't know what else to say.
I feel like I understand where you're coming from, and I might not feel as I don't want to say negative about it, but like as low about it as you do. But I wouldn't say I'm that much higher. Like I did have a fun time. I do like what we got in the story. I just wish there was more. I was just
Yeah,
left wanting.
me
And I'm
too.
enjoying the post game. It just overall maybe it felt a little bit rushed, like a rush project. I don't know, like if they were busy working on other things or something. I just felt like there could just be a little bit more oomph to it, and it just wasn't there. Like it gave me what I wanted, but
I
in
have a
the bare
theory.
minimum kind of way.
I feel very confident that at some point, Metroid Prime 4 was supposed to release on the day that Age of Imprisonment did on the 6th of November. Because like all the Metroid Prime 4 amiibo came out that day, and I've never
Mhm.
seen a game's amiibo come out before the game, like ever. Um,
Speaking of which, where's the Minoru amiibo?
I think that's coming later. Don't quote
Wasn't
me.
there supposed to be they announced all the ones back in the day, and then they were like, "Oh, and there will be a Minoru one." I was expecting it to come out with this game.
I will look up.
Like in my like how I would have done this, you know.
Well, sure, but like sometimes you see the amiibo come out after, but I've never seen the amiibo come out before the game. So I do think that, um, like I think Metroid Prime 4 was supposed to come out before. There is
Mm.
no release date yet for the Minoru amiibo, although it does look absolutely incredible. Yeah, I would just say like another thing that I thought that I was looking forward to in this game, which we did not get at all, was I really wanted to see what ancient Hyrule looked like as well, and ancient Hyrule looks exactly the same as modern day Hyrule. 10,000 years or however long in between, which I thought was disappointing. Even to be honest with you, even like the Hyrule Castle, like yes, we know that it's on the Great Plateau and it kind of looks different, but like it doesn't really look like that. Like the castle obviously looks different, but you still got like scenes and like these regal halls and laboratories. Like it doesn't look like that. I guess like super different. And the rest of the world, I was disappointed that it just looked very similar to what we already knew. And I think when you add on like that combined with like obviously that means that the levels look very similar to how they did in Age of Calamity. I thought that was like the setting I would not say is a strength. The gameplay was a strength, but the setting I don't think was.
I agree. I feel like the levels look different from Age of Calamity. I think the reason they look the same is just like the environment and like the elemental factors to the environments. So in my mind, they look different enough, but they really it's not about being different. It was that they were generic. It was just that they were generic, and whenever you like are doing another level in that area, it's almost the same. It's really just like pieces of the bigger level from the story levels that you're doing here. Maybe they add on to them a tiny bit, but really you're just doing the same spot over and over and over and over again, and they just look a little bit generic to me.
The other thing that I think I want to call out Age of Imprisonment for is there was like no fan service I feel like at all in this game, which is kind of like what you want from, or at least what I want from like a Hyrule Warriors game. Like say what you will about Age of Calamity's story, and you could say a lot, but you got to play as like all these characters from Breath of the Wild, and it was like cool. I could play like as this big roster of characters that's really fun. Like playing as Monk Mask Kashia was great. Playing as Hestu even I thought was really fun. Like obviously the taking story elements out. Like I loved playing as like Yunobo and Sidon and Riju and not Tava not so much, but
So lame, man.
but you
Same
know
as
what
where it's at.
like and I felt like there was none of that in this game really. In this kind of bleeds into the roster talk, but like I mean let's talk about this. Like you don't unlock Ganondorf as a playable character, which I was so incredibly disappointed with. Like that
Mhm.
to me felt like just such a bummer for this game.
We literally went into this game like obviously Ganondorf is going to be a playable character. Like when we were thinking of the roster, we were like, "Oh yeah, Rauru, Zelda, Sonya, Ganondorf." Like and you just it's so weird because you have bad guys you get to play as in the other Hyrule Warrior games. Like I don't understand
I
why we
understand
couldn't
it.
have had levels with playing as Ganondorf. You play in the original Hyrule Warriors, you play as Ganondorf and you're wreaking havoc on the war, right? Like, why can't you just do that in this game?
Oh,
Why
you
can't
want
you
to you
be
want
out
to know
here
why,
taking
Hal?
back
Because they have to
territories?
sell you $30 DLC on top of this $100 game, and there is no characters for that DLC except for the one that you actually want to play as
I
Ganondorf.
don't know. I don't know if there's gonna be DLC for this game, to be honest.
We'll see. I mean, like, if there's
But I
not
understand what you're
DLC
saying.
and you don't have Ganondorf, like that's just such a big miss.
It's such a big miss too because he has so many different weapon types. So you know, with the construct, you can fight with different weapons, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's the same with Link in Age of Calamity. But so does Ganondorf. He has like his like the big club thing. He has like the I don't know what the official samurai sword is called, but the samurai sword. He's got a bow. So like I feel like there would have been so many different cool things that you could have done with him. Maybe you could have played as him in his regular form, and then like his special power would have been with the Secret Stone turning into the
Yeah.
cloak of the Demon King. I just think there would have been so many cool things that you could have done with this character, easily added to the roster, easily, 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 and just not there. What the f? That was so
That was
disappointing.
brutal in this game. I thought as well, not having Twin Rova playable was brutal. Yeah, not even
Yeah, and
like
not even
including that.
confirming that that
Yeah,
was Komi and Katake, even though it totally was.
I think you can like infer, but
They have the crystals on their masks, the that Komi and
yeah,
Katake
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
in on their foreheads. So like to me, that was them, but they like disappear halfway through the game. You never see them again. They're gone.
I thought that sucked. Like, and this game desperately needed fan servicey characters to that Zelda fans could be like, oh cool, it's Twin Rova, or oh cool, I get to play as Ganondorf. Because like, I'm sorry to like
What
Lago
team
and
made
Froggo and the
the
rest of the playable characters, but like these guys were just like
the
such
roster
bums.
team was not the best team
Oh
during the
god,
development of this game. I'm so
no.
sorry. Whoever created the roster, I'm so sorry, but this was not a good decision.
Um, and like I really would have been like, I know I've said it a few times, but like I think like you needed characters that you recognize in Zelda, and like I think like because Tears of the Kingdom didn't do you any favors and didn't introduce any of these characters, I really would have went down the path of like, well, we're in a real bind here. We've committed to being canonical, so like what do we do to fill out this roster? I really would have had like new versions of characters we already know in those
Hmm.
roles, like a Tingle or a I don't know, like a Ruto or whatever, right? Like some basically what they did with Rawu, like reinvent those characters for the wild era, because like this playable roster, I think just I actually I might say, you asked me last week if the roster was worse than the story or not. I think I'm actually going to commit to the roster being the fatal flaw of this game.
I think so too. I agree because, like I said, the story gives you what you want, maybe just not enough of it. Whereas the roster was just an overall very bad decision.
Yeah.
The better decision, and I said this like 13 times last episode, would just be to have those 9 playable characters, or I guess
and
10
and
if you want to
that's
Ganondorf.
still not a great option either. I don't think,
I feel
because
like that
like
would have been 10 times better than what we got.
it would
Honestly,
have it would have been better, but still like I feel it when I'm playing, because I switch my characters every level, and I'm just like, oh god, like I feel like I just played as Kia and Artie, you know. But I agree. I think that would have been better than having a roster full of kind of bums that you're just like, okay, well now I got to play as uh I can't even Quino. Like, what are we
Quinoa?
talking about here? Like,
There's a Rito character, the one that has the boomerang fins. I think his name is Cadlin. I kind of ship him with Kia because if you do like all the side content with Kia
the
and
Zora
him.
character, you mean?
Oh, sorry. And there's so much happening in this game. But like I just think they're kind of like the side content is so cute cuz he's like so like, devoted to her and stuff and like she's kind of it kind of sounds like she might like him too. I'm like, "Aw, I ship them." But you don't get to see them interact at all.
Sure, yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing, like, at all.
Do you I like cuz I know you, I feel like you're not reading the stuff. Are you reading the stuff?
Reading what stuff?
When you like do one of the little side things and it's usually Nalia or Calamo being like, I'm gonna go get some materials from my friends so they stay warm in this blah 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 blah. Do you read any of that?
I mean, some of it, yeah.
I read all of it, so that's how I know that Cadlin and God, please let that be his name because because I've gotten so many names wrong. But
Hold
Cadlin
on.
and Kia,
Let me
they got
confer.
something going on. The
Um,
younger Zora. And that's
yes.
another thing about the roster. It's like it's always a younger and an older person. And I'm like, that's kind of bland, you know?
I think this roster is just like so unbelievably bad. It's Cadlan.
Cadland. That's what I was saying.
Cadlan.
Cadland.
Okay.
Yeah. I ship him with Kia.
This roster, I think, is truly the fatal flaw. But it like the story that you get informs the roster. So I feel like they go hand in hand. Like if the story was really just like, okay, let's bring in some other classic characters just to and again, nothing that needs to contradict canon, but like there's nothing wrong with having incarnations of characters that are just different. So like if the story does that, then at least you're playing as the roster, being like, okay, cool, I get to play as like whoever, Beetle
Mhm.
or Eslo or whatever, right? Like, and this, it doesn't do this at all. So I think that for me, like it's just like such a big missed opportunity. And I'm gonna say something that I actually thought that I would not say at all going into this, but if you ask me which game's story I like better, it's Age of Calamity.
That's wild. I mean,
Yeah, right? Like,
part of
who
me
would have
part of me
thought?
gets it. Part of me gets it because I feel like you get a little bit more depth with in certain spots of Age of Calamity. And like Zelda is such a key like highlight of the game. You see her really grow into her own. But like you don't get a lot of that in this game. So, but the weird thing is that it gives you exactly what you want in canon ability with Tears of the Kingdom. So it's just there's this weird dichotomy with these two games. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm almost like I'm almost wondering now. Like, man, I feel like sticking like making this a canonical tale, like make the game kind of worse because like then like what are you gonna do with your playable roster? So I don't know. I feel like Age of Calamity's story, for all of its flaws, and there were a ton of flaws with that story, namely that it lied to us in the marketing. But like I feel like I enjoyed that story better. Like it was in a bubble. It was self-contained and it was really fun, and it felt like there was lots of cool characters that you got to play as that you didn't or were only hinted at in Breath of the Wild. And I just like for this game, I felt like the story was very ho hum. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but I don't know. I don't feel like there was anything really stand out about it either. Like if you'd have skipped this, like I don't think I let's put it this way. I don't think that if you skip this game, you miss anything, like any extra context or anything from Tears of the Kingdom. Would you agree with that? Like, I don't think this adds to Tears of the Kingdom really in any meaningful way. It's the exception being like maybe you now know where the Deku Tree comes from, and like you can learn a tiny bit about the Four Sages.
Um, I want to say like if you let's say you play Tears and then you play chapters 3 and 4 of Age of Imprisonment along with Tears, it might make those 4 or 5 cutscenes that you see over and over and over again a little less insufferable.
Well, maybe.
I,
Um,
I don't know. It's like weird because I'm like, I feel better that we have it. I just wish it was better, you know? I didn't
yeah,
expect to be as negative about this in the end.
I feel like I'm trying to really be like point out the positives here today, which I want to reiterate the gameplay was great, like really fun. You
I
were more
feel like
negative than I was expecting you to be honest, Al. I gotta
I know
admit.
because I think I was waiting for the end, and like, and then in the end, I was like, yeah, that was fun. And but maybe like I could have waited a year to play that game. To be honest, there's so much other stuff I'd rather be playing right now. I am having fun in the end game. Oh my gosh, I'm letting you get into my head and be. I'm so negative right now. I'm so
Listen,
sorry.
listen, okay? It's the onus is not just on us, okay? If
True.
we're being negative, it's because like we have standards for what we were hoping for, what we were expecting in this game, and like the game has to meet you halfway. Like yes, you have to give your critiques in good faith, but I feel like these are good faith critiques. Like the roster is weak. the world is very similar to Age of Calamity's world, and the story just doesn't have a lot of punch to it. Like I feel like those are very, very valid critiques that you can have as a Zelda fan, and critiques that I have seen all over the place in various reviews of this game as well. So like for everybody saying like, oh, you guys are being negative, like we're trying not to be, but like the game does have to meet you halfway, and if the game is not kind of meeting you and giving you things that are disappointing, like what else are you supposed to be?
Yeah, I will say, so I've shared a lot of my critique this episode, and I know I said some positive things, but I want to reiterate some of my positive things. I think the gameplay is exceptional. I'm having a blast. I really love learning all the different like new things that they've introduced into the gameplay of this, like evolving from Age of Calamity. Even though I wish it was a little bit more upfront, instead it kind of takes you into chapter 3, the tutorials, and I'm just like, oh, I'm over it. Just like tell me at the beginning. Aside from that, I think that it's a lot of fun. I think visually it's stunning. I think like it looks really good on the Switch too. I love a lot of the voice acting, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. I think they did a really good job. I think the story is good. I think it gave me what I wanted. I think I just would have liked a little bit more, but I think overall it is canonical. I liked the crazy thing that they threw in there to make it a little bit more interesting. Without taking away from what we already knew happens in the story. Mm-hmm. And I think like the ending does kind of go out with a bang, and I kind of like really had a lot of feelings about it. And I'm really enjoying the end game, like actually completing the map, and I'm looking forward to 100%ing this game. And so I do think that there's a lot of positives if you do enjoy the Hyrule Warriors games. Like I do think that it's worth at least playing, but mm-hmm. I'll be really honest, I don't know if I'll pick it up ever again. But that was the same as I felt with Age of Calamity, and I had to pick it back up because there were 2 sets of DLC. I don't know if we're gonna get that for this game, but if we do, I'll pick it back up. But like I'm okay with like setting it down and having this be like a fun one-off experience that I'm okay with. Like I would say that it's fun to experience, but it probably isn't like 100% needed.
I will be chapped, I will say, like if and when they announce DLC and Ganondorf as a playable character. I expect
Ganondorf
that
behind the $30 paywall is wild.
That's not cool. I will reiterate. I think that the gameplay is really fun, really polished. I like the sync strike. Post game is better because at least then you're just like, I know what this is. I know what I'm getting. Story wise, I think that Calamo and the Night Construct were fine additions, if not maybe a little like they took the shine away from some of the other characters. And I thought the Star Fox levels were cool. I really want to see a Koei Tecmo Star Fox game now. So I think that like I was pretty disappointed in the story, very disappointed in the roster. Although Rauru is awesome.
Rauru is so fun.
Rauru is great. Like he's the greatest character I think in the era, like in the Tears of the Kingdom and in Age of Imprisonment era games for sure.
Mm-hmm. The more you unlock in Rauru's like menagerie of moves, he's so cool. Like the stuff he can do is just so awesome.
Good word.
It's really hard for me not to just choose him every time.
Yeah. So I thought that he was like really great, and. You know what? Like, say what you will about the story. Like, it's fine. It is serviceable, is what I would say. And it doesn't give you the same. Like, I felt disappointed with Age of Calamity's story and Age of Imprisonment story, but for very different reasons. Like, I felt like Age of Calamity was wild and crazy, and I felt like this one was like so safe and pedestrian. So like maybe there's a middle ground there to be had, but you know. It doesn't break canon, so you could say that. And you know, I will say this as well. About 2 weeks ago, the founder and owner of Zelda Dungeon, Mossy Segopian, said, and I quote, "Age of Imprisonment, in my opinion, might be the worst official Zelda-related release the series has ever put out." And I think that is absurd. Yeah. I sat on it for a while, because this was right when I was unlocking all of these different bums to play as, like all these geeks in this game, and I was like, who is Candon and who is Pestos Catelyn. Or whatever. And I was pretty upset. So I was like, okay, this isn't the worst take I've ever heard. But you know, sitting on it in a world where Triforce Heroes exists, that is an absurd statement to make. So we're not talking about the worst release that the Zelda series has ever seen by far. This is not that. This is like a fine game, and I think we should score it. What do you think?
Before I score it, I just want to point out that next year's best Zelda ever list is going to be really telling about this game. I think I'm really excited to see what next year's BZE list looks like with this game in it.
Too bad that it's not going to be on this year's too, because we did the spin-off list. So
right, I hope we don't do a spin-off list next year. I want it all combined. I'm going to say my score, I told you already before we started, and I think I'm sticking to it. I'm going to say it's a 6 out of 10. Okay. Or do we go out of 5? 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 out of 10. I feel like I'm having fun with it. I'm having a really fun time. I feel like it's enough content fighting-wise to get your money's worth. I think it looks really good. The gameplay's really good. I'm sort of satisfied with the story. I still felt things during the story. I felt pretty good about what I learned about the sages personally. Mm-hmm. And so overall, I feel like there's still a lot of room for improvement, and they could have gone deeper. That's why I'm giving it a 6. So it's a very average, decent game.
You pretty much took the words out of my mouth. I was going to go 5 out of 10 for the exact same reason. I think like the type of players that we are, like I'm more like, the roster, I think, matters more to me maybe than it does you, just because I do like to cycle between characters. So that was a really big negative for me. And I gotta say, if there's DLC with Ganondorf for $30, I'm gonna knock this score down to a 3. Like, just on principle. Okay. Like, I would be just like, what a gross move I feel like that would be. But, I mean, if they're gonna release DLC for this game, I cannot fathom another, like... Who else are you gonna create like a new batch of Gerudo and Zora and Rito warriors to play as? Like,
you could play as the Forbidden Construct.
I think you probably will, because like the last DLC had like 4 extra playable characters. So like here you got Ganondorf, the Forbidden Construct,
Kome Kotake.
Maybe, maybe Sonya. I don't know actually. Like, so I would say a 5. The gameplay shines, but again, just for me, like the gameplay wasn't why I bought the game. It wasn't why I was looking forward to the game. It was the story. It was playing as like some of these other cool characters, and I think the story was just okay. I don't think it really added anything to Tears of the Kingdom, and the playable roster, like the characters that were there were fine. Like Rauru was really cool. I really like the way that Minoru's moves look. Zelda's fine. The 4 sages, I do think play very similarly to their counterparts in Breath of the Wild. And yeah, just the rest of it was not great. Not great at all. And the environments, I think, left something to be desired as well. So for those reasons, I think it's a 5. I think it's a 5.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah. This was better than I thought it would be, to be honest. I thought that I was gonna be like negative Nancy, and you were gonna be talking about how great the I don't know, something was in this game, and I was just gonna be like, am I crazy? But I don't think I am. I don't think we are.
No, I don't think you are. I think like there's stuff that I appreciate more than you do, and there's stuff that you appreciate more than I do.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff that holds different weight in how we like to play games for each of us, and it's the same for any player, and I think that's totally fair. I was like, I know we were talking about it beforehand, like leading up to these episodes, where I'm just like, man, I need some backup because I'm like enjoying this game, but like in the end, I do feel ultimately I was left wanting. Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest with that feeling, and we'll go from there.
There it is. Okay. So, I think what we got going on next week is we're going to do an Age of Imprisonment Q&A. So, we would love for your guys' questions about this game. We have a new question channel in our Discord, so please join the Discord channel and ask away in there, and we will answer them next week. We'll also have a Blue Sky post up as well, so be sure to get your questions in, and we'll cover all things Age of Imprisonment. You can ask us about your favorite playable characters, anything that we would have liked to see differently in DLC, things that you liked, things that you didn't like. Ask away, and we will talk about it next week on the show. I will not be here the week after, Al. I will be off in space on the planet Vuros playing Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. I mean, I knew that.
I'm not gonna commit to being here the week after either. I think I probably will be, but I'm not gonna 100% commit to it just yet. We'll see how Metroid Prime 4 goes. But don't worry, okay? Because so the Zelda Cast will go on, but also I will be podcasting on Sunday, and for an emergency episode of the Omega Metroid podcast, we're gonna cover the first hour of Metroid Prime 4 and just the intro and talk about Miles McKenzie and if it's really as bad as the previews suggested. So we'll see what that is like. But yeah, for now, we would love your questions about Age of Imprisonment. Were we too harsh? Were we not harsh enough? I've seen opinions all over the place. So let us know. Okay. Anything else, Al, before we get out of here?
Nope. I think I've said all I've got to say.
Well then, we look forward to seeing your painted room. With its accent wall and mossy green accent. So very.
I mean, hopefully you guys can see the wall. Based on where I put my desk, you might not see it, so we'll see.
We need you to just take your camera then and give us a little tour of the wall.
We can do that.
Yeah, we have to do that. In the meantime, though, my friends, that is going to do it for us. So we are going to get out of here. Thank you to everybody for checking us out. Couple friendly reminders here. Number one, you can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Go like, subscribe, recommend, review, rate, all of that kind of good stuff, plus the classic line, if you got a Zelda fan in your life, tell them where they could get their weekly Zelda fix. We would love if you could spread the good word, and we would really love, too, if you wouldn't mind supporting us on Patreon if you're able to or willing to. Patreon.com/SPNet. That is where you could get monthly bonus shows, including the Zelda Cast XL. Me and Gooey just kind of talking about the happenings in the Zelda world, playing a couple games, answering a couple fan questions. We've got a ton of other stuff available on Patreon as well. For as little as $1, we've got reviews for every episode of the Zelda cartoon. Available now on Tubi, by the way, Allison, just in case you wanted to watch it.
I own it. It's fine.
so lots of good stuff there. Captain N and lots of other stuff for Metroid fans as well, and movie reviews. So check that out, patreon.com/SPNet. Check us out over on Blue Sky at the ZeldaCast, at Spiteri316, at Allison Aletha. And check out Zelda Dungeon's YouTube page if you want to watch these episodes with full video and full access to Allison's wall and Lincoln in making his recovery and his return in the background of my camera feed here as well. So that's over on Zelda Dungeon's YouTube page, as well as twitch.tv/ZeldaCast. That is going to do it for us, my friends. Thank you for checking us out. Until next week, when we answer your Age of Imprisonment questions. We'll see you then. Ciao.
Bye.
Hey everyone. If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the ZeldaCast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.